Hello and welcome to the Love Couch. And in this episode, we're talking about how to change your dating results.
But first,
I know we had something. I found somebody that
it's being really kind.
somebody
Yes.
that
Like
I
how
just
he's
connect
being
with,
honest and
Yeah.
I'm very excited, and I want to move that relationship forward.
Yeah,
and it's
being
just
very courageous.
I
and-
definitely
Yeah.
found the person
20
that
seconds of courage in all sorts of different ways.
Yeah,
I
No,
had
I got you.
And she's being gracious.
she is. Yeah.
No, I like that she's like connecting with her body there.
In the real world, I think guys are attracted to me because they find a ballet dancer is super interesting. I would say they are attracted to my looks rather than my personality. And so, unfortunately, after a few dates, they're like, "Oh, she's a pretty face," or "Oh, it's fun talking to a ballet dancer." But then they're like, "Okay, I'm gonna go somewhere else."
Mm.
Adios, amigo.
adios.
How is Colleen showing up? How is she presenting herself? How is she leading herself being into these dating situations? And she's named it. Every single date, she led with, "Hi, I'm Colleen. I'm a ballet dancer."
That's novel. It's interesting. We don't normally meet ballet dancers.
Matt and I called it a sex hook.
A sex
It's a
hook.
sex hook.
Sex hook. She knows where men's minds go. And
Flexible, strong,
fit.
fit.
There's fantasy fodder there. She leads with those elements. So those are the things that most men are going to connect to first. The sort of fantasy, the fun. Oh, this is somebody who's kind of maybe willing to move quickly. And
They're in their bodies.
Yeah. Be really exciting in bed. That's the trajectory that they're sketching out, that the men are sketching out.
She's like, after a few dates, they're like, "Oh, she's just a pretty face. I'm not into that." So she's already tracked it, but there's something about this show being in the limelight, being rejected, maybe on TV. There's nothing else for them to think about. All they're doing is dating and being in the experience. Where she's like, wait, I'm more than that. And so what we wanted to talk about today is what could and would she do differently to have a different experience in her dating.
The premise of this show is finding the person that you're going to marry. So if it was a different context of like just kind of finding people to kind of hook up with and date for a while and see what happens, her approach is probably really effective. What's interesting is, she's sort of coming up against, this strategy that maybe worked earlier in her life when she wasn't maybe interested in something as long-term and committed, actually isn't effective in this different context where she's looking for a life partner and meeting people who are also explicitly looking for a life partner too.
Yeah, beautiful.
So in a moment, we're going to talk about the 3 steps to getting a different result in your dating life. But first,
you need to see what results you've been getting.
Yeah.
And they've been your winning formula. Like her winning formula of being a cute, sexy dancer has been getting her great results. She's been getting wonderful interest from guys, but now it's not getting the results she knows she wants next. So really honoring like your winning formula has gotten you where you are, and wanting the next step, wanting something different means that you get to learn how to show up differently.
The first step is, and we see her doing this quite beautifully, is just processing, being with the feelings that come up, those feelings of rejection, the doubt, the questioning, the pain of being rejected.
And the energy tip for that is to let yourself process the feelings with as few words as possible. Just feel the sadness, feel the rejection. You can label it, "I'm feeling rejected," and just literally be a surfer. Ride the wave of the emotions and let them move through you.
And also what we saw her do as well is she put her hand on her heart. And that also really helps you to connect. So placing your hand on where you're feeling it with your body, and it allows you to experience it more fully and move through it more completely.
Beautiful, thank you. Step 2 is start shifting out of the stories of blame. I suck, they suck, dating sucks, the world sucks, dating apps suck, whatever that is, let yourself notice it and recognize it and label it as blame instead of what else is possible. So blame Or what else is possible? Here's the thing, here's the energy tip. You cannot do both at once. Mm-mm. No, you can't. You can't like think dating apps suck and then be open-hearted and in the full wonder of the dating experience if you're holding on to dating apps suck. It just doesn't work very well.
And it can be helpful, again, to just be consciously like, men are horrible, dating sucks, dating apps suck, and just kind of get it out of your system and know that that's what you're doing. It's like,
you mean like having a vent?
It's like having a vent.
Have a vent.
And maybe it's part of step one of moving through those feelings of like, just like blame, judge, get it out of your system and recognize that it is blame, that it is judgment. And when you're in blame and judgment, you're not looking towards yourself. You're not looking at what can I do differently? How am I creating this situation? So to sort of move that out of your system and then turn the focus back onto yourself.
Step
number 3.
How can I experiment with showing up differently? And we chose that word really carefully.
This is a really good one.
There can be that blaming energy can linger into this step. It can feel disheartening. It can feel hopeless. It can feel like I'm not good enough. That stuff all belongs in step 2. You're ready for step 3 when it starts to feel like an adventure, when it starts to feel like a game, when it starts to feel like curiosity, and you're ready to experiment with what else you would like to show up as you, this person. So some of the things that we see that Colleen could have showed up as is not mentioning she's a fucking ballet dancer.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Colleen. I'm so happy to meet you. Like, talk about her experience in the moment.
Be curious about him, what he does and what his experience of Love is Blind is.
Where do they live? Like, what are their parents? Like, there's literally a million other things you could talk about before you get to what you do for a living.
Yeah. Have some questions prepared that really that don't lead back to you being a ballet dancer or you being this like happy-go-lucky party girl. Some thoughtful question prompts that you can bring to your date that might steer the conversation in a different direction and perhaps a deeper direction than you're used to. And again, like by treating it as an experiment, you can come with some lightness to the situation. It's not like, oh my God, like this date has to go so well with this person, or it's the end of my life. But like, oh, I'm gonna kind of try this out on this date. Yeah. Whether it's the first date or the second date. If you're meeting with a bunch of people, and you can kind of sort of try out different approaches.
I think being curious is always a good approach in dating and in life. But I really loved what you said, especially if you're trying something new. Help set yourself up to succeed by having some strategies already in place. Our brains, like learning something new is really hard to do in the moment. If you haven't driven somewhere yet or baked or cooked a recipe yet, you're like checking every step of the way. You're watching every step of the recipe. You're listening to every single step of the Google Maps. Let yourself map out some of your A/B if-then options, and then that will help you like be more conscious and be more present and be more trusting to this new experiment of showing up differently than you have been as a grand experiment.
Hearing an actor talk about how nervous they would get before auditions and how that would kind of feed into the audition process, and you kind of show up nervous. They did this mindset trick that really helped them begin to get more work. I used to think my job was to get the role. So I was putting all that pressure that I had to get the role, and I changed that to, I'm just going to do a really great audition. I'm just going to show up. I'm going to be open to what's happening in the room. Like I've learned the text, and I'm just going to like go in there and I'm going to play.
Oh, I love that. You are genius. That is brilliant.
So with that in mind, showing up to a date, not like I've got to get a second date out of this. That would be an ideal outcome if you like the person and you get on with the person. So what if I show up wanting to have an enjoyable time, being open to connecting, finding ways to connect with this person who I'm on the date with, whatever it is we do.
I love that. I can't think of any better way to be present than having your goal, if you must use that word, or your mission or your intention
desire.
your desire is to enjoy the date you're on, as opposed to, does this fit into some life plan? Enjoy what's happening, and then what will need to come next, and what is the best next step for you will reveal itself through being fully present in what's happening in the now. That feels good to me. How about you?
Yeah, feels good to me.
Love it. I hope you enjoyed this. Please like, comment, and subscribe. We want to hear from you. We want to know if you tried some of the things that we're talking about. We want to know if you're watching Love is Blind with us.